little longer and how they were in the driver's seat a few more times than they should have was because of this new strategy that I think they were employing. I'm not sure if it was on purpose, but it's the gangster moneyball strategy. Meaning, this carry is picking fights where she should not have, and she was taking resources she had no business getting her hands on. And that's because she had the retribution. And I think it's also their downfall. It's a two-edged, double-edged sword. Is because that retribution could have been a Purify. And if the Purify was on the carry in the late game, 20 minutes in, she could have survived the onslaught from the Ling. So with that being said, maybe this time, BREN can set the pace, wherein which their lineup is not necessarily so neutralized or so targeted by SGD. I'm not sure if they're capable of that in this kind of situation, but I'm sure Ducky might be reading Dale or the other way around, vice versa, for us to have another close fight.
No, I think that we will be. I feel that we should be seeing a different type of drafts. Or at least some reaction from BREN Esports. I like that they banned out the Jawhead, because of the fact that they struggled heavily against that. But now, SGD Omega, they themselves banned out the Ling, opening up the Selena. Swarly, you were hyped about this. Can you talk about the Ling being banned by SGD Omega and the Selena being picked by BREN Esports?
Well, definitely, with the first pick going in way of BREN Esports, I mean, everyone has a Ling player in this level of Mobile Legends, so just don't give them the opportunity to use your own hero against you, and it was a smart decision. Unfortunately, it did open up the Selena.
Your team is
both teams do favor that hero, especially with the extra vision and just the mere pick-off potential without really threatening your positioning as a team.
Yeah.
Atlas,
Leo,
I like the return. I like the return, the counter picks from SGD Omega, picking up the Atlas.
Leo, this is exciting to say the least. It's either Heath or Hayes. Two of the best tanks out there in terms of playmaking for SGD Omega, now playing Atlas with Claude.
Yep.
Now, how do you feel about that, and how do you also feel about BREN Esports going back to the Carmilla again, the core Milla once again?
The core Milla. Well, question one, SGD. Awesome. Two of the highest win rate heroes right now. One through sheer force of nature, that is the Claude. He has the numbers and he has the percentages. On the other hand, Atlas, much less amount of times picked, but the numbers are through the roof. He's only failed maybe once or twice. On the other hand, BREN, if I'm not mistaken, this might actually be Rebo on the Carmilla, not on the Selena, not Few, because Few also rocks a pretty nasty Selena, right? So with that being said, it might be good. The vision she provides might help with maybe the gangster Moneyball if BREN wants to go for that again. But I'm so happy that this stats showed up here. Angela has an undefeated streak, a win streak here in the MPL, 100%.
Is this just SGD Omega, or have other teams tried to use Angela?
I think they are the only teams that are playing Angela nowadays, or at least to great effect. The only ones with successful Angela plays. We don't know yet if this is going to be a support or again back at the core role. Nevertheless, there's the Uranus. SGD Omega, they paired this up so many times now. Uranus with Angela. Uranus on the hands of Toshi on the side lanes. And then you have Kenji playing the Angela, going with the Claude. By the way, this is also a running duo that I'm seeing to great effect. It's the Angela-Claude combo where you just literally make a... Imagine a tank, but the tank is mobile. Like the tank can go at ya. Normally tanks go from a distance, right? But this tank is gonna be in front of you in melee range. That's what I noticed. Yeah, but how do you feel about this, guys?
It's a tank with like a 360 firing arc, right? It'll just come in the middle with Angela inside of her or him, and then they're just gonna pull the trigger. That's exciting. I really like it.
And the best part is they have a get out of jail free card, right? With that BMI.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, BREN Esports, that carry I talked about the bodyguard mentality earlier. There isn't that one bodyguard hero that can protect that carry. But at least this time around, Kaltizi did listen. I mean, he wisened up, is going for the Purify this time around. But will it be enough? I feel not so much. I feel that she still needs that one bodyguard hero.
Well,
Guys,
Cho's a better bodyguard.
True, but he wants to
better
be
bodyguard than
initiating
Kufra.
the Way of the Dragon.
Oh,
You think?
well.
You think? But yeah, because of the lack of bodyguard, I can't believe this, but I'm betting against Bren twice in a row.
Okay. So Swarly will bet against the strong one, the only ones who are strong. Leo, how do you feel about this draft?
You know what? Given the fact that Carrie went with the Purify and they have the Cho, these are signs leading to Bren learning from game one. But
Okay.
I'm gonna go against better judgment here and say that the Angela and Claude combo alongside the Farsa is just way too much firepower. And given
Yeah.
that, this feels weird to say, I'm gonna go for SGD Omega this time. This might be a 2-0, and we might see Bren finally get their first defeat in this season.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you, Leo. I think that's exactly how I feel, right? There's just so much damage. I mean, the carry. You imagine the team fight, and he will be bursted down before he's able to pop his ultimate. I think, and it's gonna be very
And-
scary. We'll see.
Purify's gonna do little. Purify's not gonna do much.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need stuns if you can just output the raw damage in there. And yeah, I feel like SGD might hand the first 2-0 loss for BREN Esports in a very long time. We'll see, as we have to pass it on back to Seiya and Rockhard at the caster's desk. Please take it away.
Man, a 2-0 against BREN Esports. That will be a first in this season, if ever that does happen. We'll have to wait and see, though, as it's going to be Game 2, SGD Omega versus BREN Esports. I'm Rockhard, and alongside me is Seiya. What do you think?
Well, to me, in terms of draft, I can't really neglect that Angela Claude firepower that our panelists have mentioned. So I'll be siding with SGD on this one because they kind of complement each other in a way that Atlas is your go-to compiler. Let's say it's like it's like Atlas is your project leader that compiles all your work. And then Angela and Claude is the one who passes it to the principal. And then follow it up by Farsa to, really make sure to guard or to safety guard and, make sure that the other students pass it on. And I don't know, I'm having a classroom setup right here for SGD Omega. But you know what, it kind of depends again on execution. If they manage to do it.
That's true. I mean, that's a big question. I know you have been a huge fan of Claude ever since, we started this week. You've always been favoring the Claude. And they have been showing a very, very good win rate. So I don't blame you. But right now, though, again, we still have a pretty solid lineup here. Mostly melee as well. I would consider carry mostly done with melee range here for BREN Esports, doing a pretty good job on the mid lane, getting first blood quite nastily on a very priority target, which is the Claude.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And
They're doing a pretty good job. And Rebo is on point with the Selena so far.
Really, and you have to take note. This is still the first few minute of the game, and they already have 1 kill to boot. And this is not really gonna stop SGD from maintaining the space that they currently have. But you know what? This is not gonna stop again. BREN Esports Rebo will be stunning Heath right there. But you know what? This is the perks of Atlas being a bit of a tanky in terms of early phases of the game. You get to scoot yourself off to safety because the Selena doesn't really have too much of a damage enough to get a pick off.
Yeah, that's right. Cotter and Inferno being forced off of Coco there. On the bottom lane, as usual, the anchor of BREN Esports, whenever he gets in a good position, usually the rest of BREN Esports would actually do well. So the off lane here is going to get some support as well from BREN. and they're just trying to split up their time. And I would say this is working well for BREN. The resources in their favor. 1.2k, 1.3k goal lead is pretty solid against SGD, who we saw earlier was pretty dominant on most parts of the game. So BREN, they're starting off really strong here so far.
Turtle resurrecting soon.
And the thing is, SGD has to retaliate with that good resource.
Of course, when we go back though, GC already picking up a kill.
Okay.
Wow, thank you so much for answering my query right there.
Well, that's what you call a very responsive reply, Rockhart. I mean, you were just about to tell it. And, you know, the Claude here is just up on his feet, gets a kill for himself. And that's just a really good thing for SGD Omega, because we did mention, Rockhart, that BREN Esports is doing a swell job in terms of resource taking. But you know what? SGD Omega is just here, you know, evening the conditions out.
Yeah, big props to BREN, of course, for going for the turtle take, which will go over to Carl Teasy, despite a pretty nice attempt there from Hayes to steal it away from their grasp. I would still say that goal lead is very, I would say, how do you say? It's not really showing the full picture, right? It's not showing us the full picture, because I feel like GC is still in a pretty good position considering the amount of goal that their team has. And now Heat going to be absorbing a lot of damage from that with a pretty good defensive line here from Hayes. But the tower, I feel like, might be in trouble here with a pretty solid movement going in from BREN Esports. Back line with a pretty shielded up GZ. Has taken out a member of BREN Esports, reducing their damage by a considerable amount, removing Rebo from the equation.
Love it. Claude here just went from the behind to really take Rebo by surprise. And now, like what you mentioned, Rebo was temporarily out of the equation. This leaves SGD Omega a bit more space to really get their footing right. And when I meant by footing right, if you just look at the map that we have right here, they're kind of dispersed in a manner wherein they could really protect the towers that they have, and as well as, you know, really taunting the members of BREN. But you know what? Speaking of taunting, Carl Teasy's damage output right there earlier is enough to make Heath go back.
Yeah, overall, I think that's the point. Just, you don't need to make a kill. You just maybe pull out those taunts, just make them question their decisions. Like right now, Carl Teasy, what a play there. Going hard on the right target, but absorbing some damage here. I think SGD Omega, they want to take revenge for the fallen comrade, but no one is in position to actually make a difference. Right now, GZ is still in the mid lane, absorbing some of that gold.
That was some good sniping by the Selena right here, really preventing Heath from any potential, you know, if I'm not mistaken, that was his ult up for grabs earlier. If it wasn't for that arrow, I think Atlas would have went for a fatal link. But again, like what you said, that was a good decision making for both sides of the team to just really disengage, because they don't really want to waste unnecessary resources. And speaking of resources, the Claude will be stealing that turtle. Rockhart, this is too good to see. Wave the Dragon's going to be used anytime soon. And look at that damage. And so Force is going to get the kill, but Carl Teasy will have to retaliate. But the Claude here, this is the reason why we can't neglect that Claude-Angela tandem right here.
Yeah, somebody has to stop GZ here. So scary, and again, the Angela only empowers GZ even further. This guy is already a beast, but of course, that will be nullified a little bit there with just Angela kills happening on the map. Whoa there!
I mean, I get the logic behind. I mean, once you're stunned by an Angela, you're really, you know, not gonna be moving anytime for a span amount of time here.
Down.
And you know, Angela's has that damage with the help of her first skill. So I like it how Kenji really utilizes it all through, not really giving up until the last HP. So that's like an extra shots for Kenji back there.
Of course. And again, they are in a good position to be really confident, considering they are in a good lead in terms of map control. But gold, look at the gold. It is dead even, almost. And I gotta say, BREN, they can still this can turn out really bad for them, and I think it will. Rebo goes down without a fight. Those damage from coming from the Haze ultimate, just doing wonders. And the cleanup is here. Hajizi, he wants the kill, but looks like Carl TC not gonna be giving it as of yet. Oh, looks like Few. He wants to go in. He goes in on 4 members of SGD. That was scary. Just so he can get rid of those minions. I think they will be sacrificing quite a lot for that engage.
Turtle resurrecting soon.
Overconfident for you right there. I mean, one going against 4 members. I mean, I get the logic because he sees that there are members of SGD Omega really low on health. But you have to take note, there are many members of SGD, so that was a pretty risky call for Few right there, and it really costs him his life because he had to sacrifice himself so that Carl TV would go to safety. And this is the replay right now, like you mentioned earlier, really taking advantage of the low health peeps coming from BREN Esports, and that's what you initially have to do. You really have to take all the kills as much as you can get so that you could really take the advantageous spot.
Yeah, the funny thing is, BREN was the ones who engaged around that jungle area, and they just got repelled by pure damage output coming in from the far side of Haze, and of course, great teamwork from the front line of SGD Omega. They will take down the tower on the bot lane, and so far, that goal lead is not so little anymore.
Yes, I agree with you because we're already seeing the power spike that Claude is offering right now. And take note, this is still 9 minutes, and usually you get to see action come by 10 to, let's say, 12 minutes of the game. But seeing it as it is right now, it's kind of compared to game 1, we are seeing that SGD Omega is showing a bit of a more one-sided game here because map control, SGD is on par with this. And again, when in terms of clashes, they are managing to turn the tables to their favor.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not surprised that the games are going so fast because that's SGD and BREN, you know? That's just what happens when Titans face off against each other. But right now, one of them is definitely standing out. SGD way on the lead. Haze absorbs Abyssal Arrow, forces out the Purify, but does not help. Great kickoff there from Few on the show, but they are paying for it with the lives of Rebo on the back foot. Hajizi, he has the Angela Heart Guard. He's waiting for a good opportunity. BMI on the side, and the damage output is real. No one can stop this boy right now.
And to finish it off with a blazing duet, to and fro as he progresses himself to the map onto the base side of BREN Esports. He knows he can calculate his damage output and really saves the best for last. And this is one outstanding play by SGD Omega and will be exposing the base right now. It looks like they're not gonna go anymore. They will be finishing this game number 3, and it looks like the conclusion is in 2-0 for SGD Omega.